I am in Zermatt, Switzerland. Up there is the Matterhorn. Here is a helicopter sponsored by Hamilton, flown by Air Zermatt, and the mission is to capture the most epic wrist shot. Hamilton have sponsored Air Zermatt for the past 11 years. Air Zermatt carry out nearly 2,000 rescue missions every single year around the resort of Zermatt. Since the inception over 50 years ago, they've been creating their own methods of rescuing people at high altitude, and they're so successful with it that they train military units worldwide. These guys really are at the top of their game. Air Zermatt looks like a small operation from the outside, but it's pretty much the size of a military squadron. These guys have a whole fleet of aircraft to run, engineers who are some of the only engineers in the world who are allowed to customize and modify the aircraft, and they are so successful doing so that the aircraft manufacturers actually take on the modifications and implement them into the normal production aircraft. Now, from an outsider's point of view, these pilots could just look like risk takers, like they're just messing about in the helicopters and throwing them around. But these pilots are some of the most highly trained pilots in the world. You can't just apply to be a pilot for Air Zermatt. They don't accept pilots from outside of their own unit. You have to work your way up to being a pilot. They train from within only. You join as an aircraft technician and then work your way up. You start practicing, and once you have enough hours, once you have enough training and pass the qualifications, you're then allowed to do the tourist trips. Flying off to airports, flying up to mountains and carrying people and plums like us to take photographs of the mountain range. Once you've worked up your hours with the commercial flying, you're then allowed to apply to do the rescue training, the serious stuff. When you learn to dangle people below the aircraft, not just on winches, on ropes, and then you learn their slingshot technique. This stuff is absolutely crazy. I grew up dreaming of being a pilot. My father was a pilot, my grandfather was a pilot, and so aviation has played a massive role in my life. Our mission today isn't to rescue anyone. We have a helicopter, we have a kick-ass pilot, we have an incredible mountain range, and some pretty awesome watches. Today, our mission is to capture the most epic wrist shot. The moment I realized how cool this situation was that we'd been put in was when we took off. We were hovering and the pilot turned over and said, "So where do you want to go?" You're looking around at this mountain range around the Matterhorn, glaciers, mountain ridges, snow. That was pretty damn cool. Being able to angle the aircraft so you had the light glare just sat perfectly, the Matterhorn in the background, and then just be able to wait until you can get the crystal just right. That was just crazy. Although this video isn't sponsored by Hamilton, a big thanks to Hamilton and Air Zermatt for putting on this trip and inviting us out to it. To prove this video isn't sponsored, this whole video I've been wearing an IWC Mark 20 on a Bark and Jack strap, which you can get over at barkandjack.com. Neither of which would be allowed if this was a paid-for video by Hamilton. This was just a cool opportunity to wear some cool watches and take some cool photographs. Although the focus of this trip was very much on Air Zermatt, Hamilton sponsor Air Zermatt, and so Hamilton allowed us to borrow some watches for the trip. Naturally, we're in an aircraft, so we focused on the pilot's watches, and the one that I chose to wear was a Pilot Pioneer 43. I'm a big fan of pilot watches, of field watches, and one thing that I love about pilot watches is how legible they are. I love watches that have a purpose and watches that actually do something, and that's one of the things that I love about pilot's watches. I chose this Pilot Pioneer 43 for two reasons. One, because of the vintage styling of it. It's got a matte black, highly textured dial with a very heavy Fotina numerals and with that minute track around the outside. You then have this black bezel, again with the Fotina on the markers, along with that onion crown. All of this mounted on a vintage style leather strap. I think this is absolutely killer. But the aesthetics of this watch were one reason that I chose it. The second reason I chose this watch is because of the movement inside. This is powered by a Unitas pocket watch movement, and I love the sound. I love the slow tick of a pocket watch movement, ticking at 18,000 vibrations an hour. It's got a very relaxing tick about it, and for a watch that costs just over £1,000, the finishing of the movement really is brilliant. It's not a high finish, it isn't a high horology watch. The finishing is nice, in line with the pricing of the watch. This whole package for £1,175 is a killer package. There is a smaller version at 39mm, which is actually an an automatic watch, but there's something about the proportions of this larger 43mm watch which I think just makes it killer. And it is also that movement inside out. I'm a sucker for a pocket watch movement. If you're a fan of the Tudor Black Bay 58 but don't quite have the budget for it, then do check out the 39mm version. Equally, if you're a fan of the Big Pilot by IWC but don't quite have the cash for that, then check out the 42mm version of this Pilot Pioneer. What do you guys think of the shots? The Pilot Pioneer 43 really is a photogenic watch. And this mountain range is one of the most beautiful, most epic mountain ranges in the world. And in a helicopter, it's kind of hard to not make things look cool. And so I do feel like I'm cheating at this mission of trying to take the most epic wrist shot ever. But it's certainly the most epic wrist shot that I've ever taken. I hope you liked this video. If you did so, hit that thumbs up button. If you like the start of this video, then hit the subscribe button down there and the little bell icon so you get notifications when I drop a new video. If you want to check out the watch straps and watch accessories, jump over to barkandjack.com. If you want to learn more about Air Zermatt, just visit airzermatt.com. If you're on Instagram, give me a follow at barkandjack, and I'll see you guys soon.